Hi, it's Miss Rhonda and your favorite furry friend Riggs. We're missing you if you're at home, and we thought we'd share a story. It's called The Name Jar, and the author is Yoon Suk Choi. Sometimes authors, when they write the words, they dedicate their book to someone special in their life. And this book was dedicated for Soon An Lee, my mother, and a special thanks to Tracy and Michelle. Through the school bus window, Eun-hai looked out at the strange buildings and houses on her way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. It can be a little bit nerve-wracking, can't it, to be going to a new school? She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Eun-hai's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she said. "My name?" Eun-hai wondered. Again, she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it. And as she ran her fingers along the grooves and the ridges of the Korean characters, she pictured her grandmother's smile. Sometimes when we can't be with the people we love, we miss them. Like I miss all of your smiles when we're not together right now. Well, is that thing for show and tell? A boy asked Eun-hai, surprising her. Well, Eun-hai looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Eun-hai answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Eun-hai," said Eun-hai. "Une?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Ooh, ooh, ooh, Une," some of the kids chanted. No, Eun-hai corrected. It's spelled U-N-H-E-L. Whoops. It's pronounced Yoon-hai. "Oh, it's Yoon-hey," said the boy, like you, hey. "What about hey you?" Just then the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened, and Yoon-hai hurried off. "You-hey, bye-bye," the kids yelled as she left, and Yoon-hai felt herself blush. I think she was feeling really bad, don't you, that they were making fun of her name? I bet that didn't feel very good. Yoon-hai stood up at the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to their own rooms, but her face still felt very red. Do you ever get that way when you're upset? Your face turns red and it gets really bright and hot. "Aren't you going in?" asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. "Aren't you the new girl, right?" he asked cheerfully. Yoon-hai nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotas, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotas thanked him and greeted Yoon-hai. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. "She and her family just arrived here from Korea last week." Yoon-hai smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. "What's your name?" someone shouted. Yoon-hai pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." As Mr. Kokoda showed her to her desk, she felt many round and curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she have a name?" she heard someone whispered. "Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and needs a new identity," a boy replied. That seems kind of silly, don't you think? Well, on the bus home, nobody teased her, but Yoon-hai kept thinking about her name. "How was school, Yoon-hai?" asked her mother when she walked in. "Did you understand the teacher?" Yoon-hai simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag, set the red pouch by a photograph of her grandmother. "Well, I'm glad you're learning English as well," said her mom. "You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you are a good Korean." "I will," replied Yoon-hai, but I think I would like my own American name," she said quickly. Her mother looked at her with surprise. "Why? Yoon-hai is a beautiful name. Your grandmother and I went to a name master for it. But it's so hard to pronounce, Yunhai complained. And I don't want to be different from all the American kids. You are different, Yunhai, said her mother, and that's a good thing. Yunhai just wrinkled up her nose. Later that day, Yunhai and her mother went to the grocery store. And in their new neighborhood, they passed Fadia's Fafla, Tony's Pizza, Dot's Deli, and a big graffiti-painted garbage truck that roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market, and the sign was both in English and Korean. Her mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi, Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Yunhai's favorite for soup, and it made Yunhai smile. Just because we've moved to America, her mother said, it doesn't mean we have to stop eating Korean food. We all have special foods we love that our moms cook for us, don't we? And it makes us feel happy. Well, at the checkout counter, the friendly man smiled at Yunhai. Helping your mother with some shopping, he asked. Yunhai nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Yunhai, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Doesn't it mean grace? Yunhai nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said as he put their groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Yunhai. That evening, Yunhai stood in front of her bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully. And then she wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. And then her smile turned down because nothing sounded right and nothing felt right. I don't think American kids will even like me, she worried as she began to brush her teeth. Ahi manem e Susie, she said in the mirror, with her mouth full of toothpaste. And Miss Rhonda's not even sure, since I don't speak Korean, if I said that right just now. But I'm trying to read it. The next morning, when Yunhai arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some pieces of paper in it. Yunhai took one out and it read, Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Yunhai took out the rest of the paper. Tamela, she read. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was a smart and brave girl. Yunhai nodded and unfolded another piece. Wednesday. Yeah, you came here on Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you for your help. And a smile spread over Yunhai's face. Ralph quickly said, we'll put more names in and you can pick whatever you like, or pick them all. And you'll have the longest name in history. Oh, can you imagine? Amanda Lee, Daisy, Tamela, Wednesday? That would be a crazy name. And a lot of letters to learn to write. Well, at 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the school day, and Yunhai looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but it's in a different place. And she watched the other kids leave in groups. Hey, said a familiar voice calling out to her. Yunhai turned around to see the curly-haired boy. I'm Joey, he said. And you? You don't have any name? Yunhai thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and she took out the small red pouch, pressed the wooden block on the ink pad, and stamped it on a piece of paper. So that's her name in Korean. That's what her grandmother gave her, was her name. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, Joey said. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Yunhai said, and then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus. Every day the jar got fuller with more names, and Yunhai read them all, and she found a few names that she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded kind of interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at snack time. I've put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and pull out a name, Rosie suggested. And Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the one she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie said. She kind of was arguing. Everybody thought about this for a minute. I'm wondering what you think about this. When Yunhai got home from school that day, her little brother ran to give her a letter. Who do you think it was from? That's right, it was from her grandmother. And she opened it quickly and it said, "To my Yunhai, I hope you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here, the moon is up, but there, the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, and no matter how different America is from Korea, you'll always be my Yunhai, your grandma forever." Yunhai took out her wooden stamp and filled a paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. I wonder what she's thinking about. What do you think? Let's see what the story tells us. On Saturday, Yunhai walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. "Hi, Yunhai." "Hello, Mr. Kim," Yunhai replied. She felt as if she was back in her own neighborhood in Korea. "Hey," said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. "Your name is Yunhai?" he asked with his eyes open wide. He was surprised because, remember, she told him she didn't have a name. Yunhai looked quickly at Mr. Kim and then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. "Yes, and it's pronounced Yunhai." "Oh, and it means grace," Mr. Kim added. "Yunhai," Joey said slowly, and this time he said it perfectly, and it made Yunhai smile. "I'll have it ready for you tomorrow," said Mr. Kim to Joey. "Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you on Monday, Yunhai," Joey said to her. He left before she could ask him, why was he at the store? What do you think? Do you have some guesses? Why do you think Joey would have gone to that store? Maybe he was buying some food. But on Monday, Yunhai came to class early to look at the names in the jar. But the jar wasn't on her desk. Oh no. Instead, there was just one single piece of paper. That paper with a name on it. Yunhai slipped it in her pocket. "Where's your name jar?" Ralph asked as soon as he saw that it was gone. "I don't know," said Yunhai. It wasn't on Mr. Kokoto's desk or any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. Gosh, I'm wondering what might have happened to that jar. As the other kids arrived, they helped look, but soon Mr. Kokotos came in and Ralph shouted at him, "The name jar is gone! The jar with all the names in it!" "Gone?" Mr. Kokotos said, and he looked concerned as he asked Yunhai, "Did you get a chance to read all the names?" Yunhai nodded. She took a breath. "I'm ready to introduce myself," she said. Do you have guesses? I'm wondering what name she'll pick. You can tell your moms and dads what your guesses might be. Let's see what she says. Yunhai wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. "I liked the beautiful names and the funny names that you thought of for me," she told the class, "but I realized that I liked my name best. So I chose it again. Korean names mean something, and Yunhai means grace." "Grace! Grace, Inhai!" shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say it. "Yinhei, Unhi, Onyi, Onhei." Yunhai said her name again slowly and clearly. And soon the kids began to say it better too, even Mr. Kokotos, and they applauded Yunhai's choice. "I was named after a flower," Rosie whispered to Yunhai. "Lots of American names have meanings too," Mr. Kokotos reminded everybody. And when the class was dismissed, Yoonhye heard her new friends say goodbye. Bye, Yoonhye. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Yoonhye. Yoonhye said goodbye and then looked around for Joey. But he was already gone. This is strange. I'm wondering what Joey is up to. Well, I think we're going to find out. Yoonhye, come downstairs, Mother called up to Yoonhye. Your friend is here. Yoonhye rushed down to see who she meant, and there stood Joey. And in his arms was the name jar. Where did you find it? Asked Yoonhye breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it. But only because I wanted you to keep your own name. And you did. He reached in and pulled out the names. Do you want to keep them? He asked. Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir, Yoonhye said happily. And then she pulled out the piece of paper from her pocket. Do you want this piece of paper back? She asked. Joey grinned. You can keep it. I'll return the name jars to class, and maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in it for us. Names with good meanings. I could do that, agreed Yoonhye. I've already got a Korean nickname, Joey said. Mr. Kim helped me choose it. Maybe that's what he was doing at the store. Carefully, he pulled a silver felt pouch from his pocket, and then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it, and he pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. Chinku, read Yoonhye. That means friend. And Chinku smiled back. This is the paper that she found on her desk. It was the paper that she had given Joey to keep when he had stamped her name on the paper. And he left just that piece of paper to remind her how beautiful and important her name was. Your name is special too. We miss you. We miss your smile. But know that we're here and we'll keep reading stories for you. Love you, kiddos.